I'm Danielle, your host of the Abridged to Motherhood podcast, the place where moms like you learn to thrive, not just survive through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. I'm a birth and postpartum doula and a mom of two who's been where you are. My first pregnancy was filled with so much excitement, but it was also marked by stress, anxiety, and fear of the unknown. I thought I had everything mapped out, but when postpartum hit, I realized how unprepared I was for the physical, emotional, and mental toll of motherhood. It was overwhelming, lonely, and nothing like I imagined. When I found out I was pregnant again, I knew I needed to approach things differently. I made it my mission to not only prepare for postpartum, but to prioritize myself in the process. That shift changed everything. Now I'm here to help you do the same. Whether you're navigating your first pregnancy, feeling buried under endless advice, or struggling to figure out what you actually need for postpartum, this podcast is your safe space. You'll find practical tips, honest conversations, and expert insights to help you feel informed, supported, and empowered through every stage of motherhood. If you're ready to feel confident, prepared, and truly supported in your motherhood journey, stick around. This is for you. Welcome to the very first episode of the Abridged to Motherhood podcast. I am so excited to finally get this podcast off the ground. It has been a dream of mine for probably about 6 years now, and it's finally coming to fruition. So today we are going to start with the why behind this podcast, why I'm so passionate about helping moms thrive, not just survive as they walk into motherhood, and how my own journey through pregnancy and postpartum inspired this mission. But first, let me paint a little picture for you. My baby was maybe about 5 weeks old at this point, and I remember sitting in the rocking chair at 2 a.m., utterly exhausted, and wondering if I'd ever feel like myself again. She was crying, I was crying, and the overwhelming weight of being a good mom while still trying to figure out who I even was anymore felt impossible to carry. That moment was just one of many in my first pregnancy and postpartum experience that made me realize how truly unprepared I was, not just for taking care of a baby, but for taking care of myself. Becoming a mom is so exciting, and if you're anything like me, it's everything you ever wanted, but it's also a huge adjustment. My first pregnancy was tough, physically, emotionally, and mentally. There was just so much going on in my life at that point. I was working 3 jobs. My morning sickness lasted well into the second trimester, and I refused to do anything to help myself. And on top of that, we lost my mother-in-law when I was 10 weeks pregnant, and I had no time to grieve. So postpartum, well, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I struggled with my recovery, my mental health, and this constant fear that I wasn't enough, that I should never have become a mother. And then add in the pressure to do it all, to continue to thrive in my career, to be a good wife, to maintain our house. It's no wonder I felt like I was drowning. The turning point came when I realized something huge. If I didn't start to prioritize my own well-being, well, I couldn't show up fully for my baby or myself. That realization truly changed everything. I started learning more about postpartum recovery, seeing a counselor, and coming up with practical ways to make the transition more manageable. And I knew I couldn't keep what I'd learned to myself. That's why I'm here now, to make sure you don't have to navigate this season alone. I implemented all of those strategies when I got pregnant the second time around and had a completely 180 of an experience. My Pregnancy, although still rough, was so much better the second time around. My birth was phenomenal, and I truly got to enjoy the newborn stage. That's why I'm so passionate about helping moms. The mission behind A Bridge to Motherhood is simple: to empower moms like you to thrive. Motherhood doesn't have to mean losing yourself, drowning in overwhelm, or suffering in silence. I'm here to help you feel seen, supported, and equipped with tools to tackle the physical, mental, and emotional challenges of becoming a mom. Because you and your well-being matter just as much as your babies. Let me say that again. Your well-being matters just as much as your babies. What are we going to cover in this podcast? We'll dive into pregnancy prep, how to set yourself up for a smooth transition into motherhood, your postpartum recovery, caring for your body and mind after baby arrives, your mental health, strategies to navigate anxiety, overwhelm, and trying to find some sort of emotional balance, relationships, your partner dynamics to building a support system, and your self-care. Yes, this is a huge buzzword, and does it look the same as it did before becoming a mom? Maybe not, but it is possible, and no, it is not selfish. And last but not least, finding joy in motherhood, how to truly embrace the season and create meaningful moments that you can look back on and cherish. Each episode is going to bring you actionable tips and steps, expert insights, and relatable stories to help you feel prepared and empowered. This podcast is practical, supportive, and most importantly, designed with you in mind. Before we wrap up in this first episode, I want to say this. If you're feeling scared, overwhelmed, anxious, unsure about what's ahead, you're not alone. Whether they express it or not, I am telling you that every first-time mom feels this way, and even every second and third-time mom feels this way as they're learning to navigate bringing a new member of the family into the fold. Although this season can be messy and hard, it's also so beautiful. And with the right tools and support, you can embrace motherhood without losing yourself in the process. If this sounds like the kind of support you need, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Share this podcast with a fellow mom who could use some encouragement, and let's connect. Follow me on social media at A Bridge to Motherhood, or visit my website, and that will be linked in the show notes for more resources and support. Thank you so much for being here and for letting me be a part of your journey. Thanks so much for tuning in to the A Bridge to Motherhood podcast. I'm so glad you were here today. If you loved this episode, I'd be so grateful if you could leave a review for the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. Share it with a friend or snap a screenshot and tag me on social media. If you decide to leave me a review, go to abridgetomotherhood.com/review. That link is also in the show notes so that I can send you a little gift in the mail. Your support helps other moms to find the podcast, and it truly means the world to me. Remember, your motherhood journey deserves your care and attention. Until next time, keep showing up for yourself, mama, and don't worry, I'm here to help every step of the way. See you soon.